I'm sure we've all heard it before, demon slayers aren't actually using fire or water or electricity when using their breathing styles. It's all just illusions. And this is true. The demon slayers aren't producing physical, tangible things like fire or water. This unfortunately has minimized the understanding of demon slayers' power system to such a vast degree that people write off there being any depth to demon slayers' power system completely and chalk the entire series up to crazy katana wielding kids playing make-believe against demons. This couldn't be any further from the truth, and I don't think it's a stretch to say Demon Slayer has the most misunderstood power system in modern shonen and anime. If you asked any casual fan of Demon Slayer about what the power system is, like what does it all entail, they might say something along the lines of, oh, humans swing their swords and they make pretty effects, but the effects aren't actually real because they breathe in a special way. And that would be all there is to it. They wouldn't really think twice about their answer, and that's the full extent of the power system. People seem to equate breathing as nothing but an explanation for the illusions we see as an audience. And I too, admittedly, had this viewpoint when I first started watching the series. The explanation for these crazy, beautiful animations in the show was breathing, and breathing didn't have any more depth to it than that. And that kind of leads to a secondary effect where you sort of believe that these characters aren't really special outside of these illusions that they make. These are just normal humans doing things that me or you could do. However, that couldn't be further from the truth. These characters are anything but normal, and all of it is thanks to breathing. Total concentration breathing. I think the best mindset to understand this video and Demon Slayer's power system as a whole is to change how you think of breathing. I want you to think of breathing as the cursed energy, chakra, or ki of the series. It's the main source of power for all of the Demon Slayer's abilities, a source to draw on that can be mastered and manipulated in a variety of ways. The most literal verbal explanation I can give of total concentration breathing from the manga itself is that it accelerates your blood flow and heartbeat, shoots your temperature up, expands your lungs, and this makes you hot and strong, as weird as that sounds. This explanation is topped off by saying you're still human, but you get strong like a demon. And this explanation kind of goes by the wayside when watching Demon Slayer. Breathing is doing a lot more heavy lifting than just allowing Demon Slayers to make pretty visual effects. Breathing is actually amplifying all of the user's traits like strength, speed, stamina, even durability. I won't get into too much detail on the breathing styles in this video, but breathing styles are just an extension of total concentration breathing. Water breathing, thunder breathing, insect breathing, these are just applications of total concentration breathing. To use an analogy once again, or compare to a series that you might be more familiar with, using the fireball jutsu in Naruto is a technique that is possible by using your chakra. Well, in Demon Slayer, the concept is pretty similar. You're using total concentration breathing as a conduit to perform flame breathing. Returning to what I was saying about how total concentration breathing is an amplifier of sorts that can affect your traits, we see this basically in the first training arc in the series when Tanjiro fully masters his breathing at just 15 years old. He's strong enough to literally cut a boulder in half with a sword, a clear indication that he's physically way stronger than any average adult in real life. This is also an explanation of why characters that look physically weak, like Obanai or Muichiro, are still very physically strong, despite having small frames without much muscle mass. Even later in the story, a more trained up, physically bigger Tanjiro can't even force Muichiro to move his hand. Keep in mind, Muichiro is a 14-year-old kid, and that's because Muichiro's mastery over total concentration breathing is better than Tanjiro's. Slayer's other physical abilities seem to be amplified as well, and as early as the Asakusa arc, we see Tanjiro can leap literally 2 stories high. It should also be pretty apparent that your mastery of breathing correlates to speed, as Tanjiro, as soon as he masters it, goes into the forest for final selection to actually become a demon slayer, and can attack so fast that demons that have supernatural speed and strength get immediately blitzed by this same Tanjiro with water breathing. However, multiple arcs later, Tanjiro can't even see Akaza and Rengoku move because they are too fast. Rengoku has a better mastery of total concentration breathing. He's faster, he's stronger, he's more durable. Total concentration breathing should also just flatly improve stamina and endurance. For example, in his fight with Daki, Tanjiro becomes extremely physically exhausted after using the Hinokami Kagura. In this scene in particular, he tells himself to stay calm and control his breathing. The next panel shows us him using recovery breathing to get out the way of an incoming attack from Daki. This should serve two purposes, one being that at any time you can allocate some of your breathing to give yourself a shot in the arm, so to speak, of extra energy, and two, that you can artificially increase your stamina and endurance by using total concentration breathing. I wanted to throw in here that there's a mastered form of total concentration breathing called total concentration constant. Tanjiro learns this after the events of Mount Nanagumo and fighting Rui. I didn't know where else to really mention it, but this is essentially using total concentration breathing at all times of the day, and it's stated to improve physical fitness, which sort of corroborates everything I have already been saying, that the Slayer's stats like speed, strength, and endurance, even durability, are all enhanced with the mastery of breathing. I know it might seem weird to some of you that breathing changes your actual physical durability, but the stronger the upper moons, the stronger their overall power and abilities seem to typically be. A much weaker demon in the series, Lower Moon 5, Rui, can use their Blood Demon art to dismantle weaker demon slayers completely, but Rengoku is a much stronger slayer and he survived Upper Rank 3's Blood Demon art, Disorder, and this could just be chalked up to this slayer didn't have mastery like Rengoku in breathing. If you want a more direct example, in Stories of Water and Flame, Rengoku survives an explosion of TNT on top of a building with minimal damage, to be honest. Total concentration breathing isn't just limited to like altering physical traits and stats. Other abilities that slayers can do with breathing are minimizing bleeding internally. Rengoku teaches Tanjiro about this in Mugen Train. Sanemi seems to be using a form of this later in the series when he fights Kokoshibo. Breathing is also shown to be able to slow down the effects of poison, as Muichiro did this with the poison that Gyoko inflicted him with. Admittedly, the degree that this may work probably depends on the user and the type of poison, but it's still something that's pretty interesting. On top of mastering breathing, there's two other main power-ups that the Demon Slayer Corps has access to, that being the Demon Slayer Mark and the Transparent World. Now, I'm not going to really get into how to obtain these abilities, but I'm just going to go over what they actually do. The Demon Slayer Mark seems to only amplify a user's speed and power, but it might do one other thing as well, which I'm going to go over at the end. Tanjiro, without the Demon Slayer Mark in the Entertainment District, was completely unable to cut Gyutaro's neck, but when he manifests the mark, he gains the power to straight up behead Gyutaro completely. As for an example for speed, when we see Mitsuri unlock the Demon Slayer Mark in the Swordsmith Village, so Hakatsun directly remarks that Mitsuri is moving even faster than before. There's plenty of other examples of slayers increasing in speed, like Gyu when he gets the mark, or Muichiro when he gets the mark, but I think you get the point. One last ability I think the mark can provide is a possible recovery of stamina, although this is just conjecture by me. Based on how exhausted Gyome seemed to be when fighting Kokoshibo, we see he's huffing constantly on panel, and after activating his mark, he showed little to no exhaustion. However, this could just also easily be explained by him just using recovery breathing passively or something, so it's not really anything concrete. I just thought it was interesting and worth mentioning. There's also the Transparent World, or the See-Through World, which I won't go into too much detail, but it essentially gives the user an analytical precognition by seeing muscle movements and the flow of an opponent's blood. In layman's terms, it's basically a massive reaction speed boost that drastically increases a user's perception and even lets them see things through time dilation, even if it's attacks that are outright faster than they can move. That's everything I wanted to cover. Thank you guys for watching very much. I think Demon Slayer's power system is really underrated and really misunderstood. I think a lot of people just chalk it up to be an explanation of why these pretty visual effects are occurring, but it's really so much more than that, and I think it's pretty slept on as a power system.